Hello, everyone. Happy Black Music Month and happy Pride Month. Hope you all are listening to black music, watching black TV shows, black documentaries, black music, everything. Listening to black musicians. Also, you're supporting Pride and black LGBTQ plus artists as well. So, the last 2 weeks, I talked about a modern black LGBTQ artist, and then last week I talked about a 1930s LGBTQ plus black artist, and today I'm talking about a black music show. I haven't said this in a while, so I'm gonna say it today. We're back on the couch. I'm very plain today. It's like raining out, and it's just so bleh. You know what I mean? I feel like my hair got smushed because I had my hood on, but it's gonna be what it's gonna be because I've just been in the house other than just running to get food, which, yeah, that's what I've been doing. Um, so we're gonna talk about the show Swarm today. So let's get into it. It's a satirical comedy horror thriller show on Amazon Prime. It is only 7 episodes, and the episodes were like about 35 ish. Some were shorter, some were longer. So, but around the 35 ish average, I guess, mark. It was released this year. I feel like this is the most recent show I ever talked about. I think so. It was March this year, March 17th. It was created by Janine Neighbors. I hope I said her last name right. And Donald Glover, as we also know as Childish Gambino. He is also a musician because I feel like he sings and raps. So I don't want to just say rapper. Y'all get what I'm saying. He's a musician. So the synopsis is it follows Dre, who is played by Dominic Fishback, a young woman whose obsession with the pop star takes a dark turn. So I'm gonna immediately give a huge spoiler alert because I'm gonna go into some details. Um, yeah, no, I'm gonna go into a bunch of specific details actually. So, especially with the thing I talk about at the end. So, major spoiler alert. Just slap that on there. All right, so we're gonna go through the cast. It's kind of a long list. Um, and now that I'm thinking about it, do I want to go through the whole list? Let's go through the whole list. So Dominic Fishback is Andrea Dre Green, a young woman whose obsession with Niger. She's the Beyonce of this universe. I don't know why I put the quotes around Beyonce, but she's the Beyonce of this universe, basically. And they have the Swarm, which is the fan base. A world famous pop star leads her on a dark and murderous path across the United States. What if you I just realized that. Oh, good thing I already gave the spoiler. What if you just wanted to look up this and say who's in it? They done already spoiled it for you. But, I mean, hey, it was kind of in the trailer too, so, I mean, it's not a super surprise, you know? But yeah, so that's the main character. A recurring character is Chloe Bailey. I love Chloe. As Marissa Riz Jackson, Dre's foster sister. I feel like they never called her Riz in the show. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't remember that. She was only there for like one episode, so you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm gonna get into the guest stars. Damson Idris as Khalid, Marissa's boyfriend. Damson? Call me. He is so fine. Anyway, Karen Rodriguez as Erica, Marissa's friend and her boss. They work in a mall together, Dre and Marissa, and that's their boss. Paris Jackson is Haley, a stripper who has an abusive boyfriend and who goes by the stage name Halsey, a reference to her supposed biracialism. I love how they say supposed because she's like, her dad is half black. So it sounds like her mom is white. So she's like mostly white. So she's like 25. Would that be? Hold on. Yeah, I think that would be right because she would be 75% white and she's 25% black. Yeah, the math adds up to 100. Okay. So she's pretty white. I'm going to talk about the acting, but I'm going to, when I go into pros and cons, I'm going to talk about some of these people. Atkins Estamond as Reggie slash, I guess his last name was Tank or Tonk. Not his last name. His nickname was Tank or Tonk. And he is Mandreas Hunting, who tweeted negative things about Marissa and Niger. Marissa, which, now I'm thinking about it, she worked at a strip club in one of the episodes. And I'm wondering if she just worked there just to find this man, which is interesting, which they don't really explain. But yeah, basically that's how she finds him. And she's with other strippers. They go do how will I describe it? A party where they do extra work. Basically they do sex work, extra sex work, which is have sex with other people on the side after dancing, And Dre drives them, and then they break down, or her tire pops or something. No, there's a nail in her tire. So then the guy who who Dre's been looking for, helps him out. So it actually works out for her, surprisingly. But yeah. And then there's Caitlin Scheel as Cricket, a girl who offers Dre a place to stay during Bonnaroo. So this was actually one of my favorite episodes. She gets sucked into a cult. So the lady, there's so many things I'm thinking about this series that I'm trying to connect. So in the episode, there's this police officer that like follows her, but then Cricket like tells him that like basically she gets him to go away because she's like, oh, you're harassing a black woman, I'm gonna tell my followers. But I wonder if he part of the cult. Does he help her trap people so that they'll feel safe? I thought about that when I was watching the episode. There's so many things. Leon as Harris. They don't have his last name. Marissa's birth father, who blames Dre for her death. Which there's a lot of theories about that. So let's go to another one. Do I not have her birth mom? Some of these I deleted by accident. So, not by accident. Some of them I deleted because they weren't really like super important. But now I'm like, did I delete too much? But these are going to be the important ones anyway. But basically, her mom is also there. Marissa's mom is in there, but I don't have her name. Sorry to her mom. Heather Alicia Sims as Loretta Green, a detective in the real world of the world of the show. So it's like really meta for this one episode. Who are starting to piece together these killings have a common thread. The victims have insulted a superstar with a vicious fan base on social media. So she's like in a mockumentary detective in one of the episodes, which is I'm going to talk about because it was also one of my favorites and the cult episode. Kersey, I don't know. Clemens as Rashida, a graduate student with whom Dre falls in love with in the last episode. In addition, Nerine S. Brown co-stars as Niger, a pop star who Dre idolizes. So those are the main important peoples. My favorite episodes were episode 4, Running Scared, and episode 6, Falling Through the Cracks. So I like the episode 4 had Dre grounded somewhere, even though it was temporary. And we got to see her interact with more people at first in a positive way. But of course, it's a cult. They never have happy endings, so LOL. That's the cult episode. I did not include, I skipped over one. So there's Billie Eilish, a women's empowered cult leader that takes Dre under her wing. So I definitely skipped that. But yeah, Billie Eilish is the cult leader. So it was really cool. And I love the change of pace from her just like hunting down people. So that was interesting. And then episode 6 was so good and intriguing to me. That was like a mockumentary style episode where like the detective, what was her name again? Loretta Green, who actually has the same last name as Dre and the same spelling. So like she kind of feels like maybe what if they have a connection, And it's really interesting because she's like investigating it and people are not taking it seriously because they're like, why would a black woman be a serial killer? Like, they really don't take it seriously. And she talks about how, um, like black women go under the radar, and it's really interesting because I honestly think the opposite would happen if a black woman was actually a serial killer. I feel like they would definitely be looking for her. But that's just my opinion. My dryer keep going off. I'm coming. But that's just my opinion. Uh, I honestly wish though it was the first episode and then we like kind of showed everything afterwards. I feel like that would have made more sense to me personally as a viewer. Uh, and it was really captivating, and I wish it could have went into like the more like black female serial killer aspect of it, and like her noticing that she was also a black woman detective, and whether Dre really like got caught for what she had done. Um, so yeah, so those are my favorite episodes. My least favorite episode was episode one, even though I mean I liked the episode one, but it was called Stung. Um, I want to see more of Marissa and her relationship with Dre, and I felt like the character got like taken out too soon, which I totally get. It was like a catalyst for Dre's mental break, but still, basically Marissa herself on the first episode, which people debate about. But when I was watching the episode where she went back to Marissa's home to like try to get Marissa's phone reactivated, Dre went to confront Marissa's parents to get her phone reactivated. When he was saying that she killed her, I didn't really think that she really killed her. I didn't really think that. I think that they were just grieving, and that they had that incident, like a violent incident with Dre when she was younger, which they talked about in episode 6. It was a sleepover for Marissa's birthday, which they just told Dre like stay in the attic. It was weird. It's like, when you have foster children, because Dre was a foster child, and that they had adopted. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of kids coming from certain backgrounds and certain lifestyles, and really working with them to like help them get to better mental states, less violent states. It's a lot that goes into like adoption and fostering, and I do not think a lot of parents who want to foster or adopt really know like the work that goes into it. I won't say a lot because I don't know. I'm not a foster parent. I don't know every foster parent that there is, but I do sometimes think, especially when you adopt a teenager, it's gonna be a lot, And Dre had issues, She had violent tendencies. She's socially awkward. She doesn't fit in. She was trying very hard to fit in. She clearly has obsessions, So yeah, I feel like it can be hard. So yeah, that's enough of that. Let's go into my pros. So the acting is number one. And I think the main actress, Dominic Fishback, does a great job embodying Dre. And I feel like people say she acted confused or without direction, but to me, it seemed like she figured it out on her own. That's just me, though. And I always loved Chloe Bailey in general, so I think she acted great as well. Of course, we got to see her for only 30 minutes. Maybe even less than that inside the episode, I was surprised by Paris Jackson's performance. She was actually really good, and she annoyed the absolute hell out of me. LOL. It was just so funny. Like, she was just so annoying. But she did. When somebody really annoys you with their acting, and I don't mean like in a way that they're so bad you're like, ew, but in a way that they're so convincing that they're actually annoying. Yeah, that's good. Billie Eilish also surprised me how good she was. And I can see her being a real cult leader if she wants to be. LOL. Um, and I think all the actors and actresses did a great job in the series. I think they all did, even the bit parts, even the big parts, all the parts. I will say I'm not really a big Billie Eilish music fan, so I was shocked. I was like, oh, Somebody got some acting chops. Okay. So my second pro was the different locations. I feel like with Dre on the run, we could see how her mental break took her all over the place. So then we went all over the place with her. And I think it did build up the story to have it progress through different places and have her in different scenarios, even though there are flaws in the story, which I'll get to in my cons. My third pro is the music. I think the music for the series was so well done. The songs make sense for the scenes. Like, if you're in a little romantic scene, you got the little romantic music going. Whatever the scene called for. I thought it was really good. And they made they made sense for the scenes that we're in, and they set the tone for each scene. I thought that was good. And I would also like to look up the music because it was good. And we a good playlist. My last pro would be the tone. So picking back off of the music, because I said the music set the tone. It set it for each episode like immediately. Each episode had its own unique atmosphere and like feeling. And each episode was unique and had you on the edge of your seat to see what was going to happen next. Like, what is this woman going to be up to next? Do you know what I mean? Let's get to my cons. So this was also a pro, but the different locations. And I do understand why Dre couldn't stay in one spot too long, but I wish we could have gotten to know her more in like Houston before she had to go on the run. And this is going to lead into my next con, which is the story and the backstory together. This was a huge con for me, even though I did enjoy the series. I feel like we didn't get to know anyone too well. We didn't get to know the story of Dre and Marissa's relationship after the sleepover incident. Like, we didn't really get into their dynamic on episode 1. I would say episode 6 does give us more insight, but it's still in the story, there's so many things left unanswered. Like, what made her go into foster care? What made them think Dre was a good foster sister for their daughter? What was going on with Dre? But I also think the direction that Donald Glover gave about acting basically he told Dominique to act like Dre is an animal, a dog, basically. Which I think played a part in why she wasn't humanized a lot. Or given it. I feel like she was humanized to me. But I feel like she did a great job. Dominique did a great job as her, and towards the end you do feel like she was let down by Marissa's parents in the system. So unfortunately she didn't have a good foundation to being a stable adult. So I feel like Dominique and her performance does humanize her, but I would like some backstory. But Donald's weird. I'm just gonna say he is, especially with black women. So, but I will say this is gonna be a slight tangent. I didn't get 100%. I do understand. I get it. Like, I do see that he didn't humanize her or didn't add too much for her backstory, but I don't think that it was necessarily okay. So the story, I guess, would paint her as negative, but Dominique's performance, I feel like, stood out and made her Dre human and humanized her. I don't know if that makes sense. So I do understand why people thought the portrayal of black women would be negative. And then I would also, I guess I wanted to specific. I feel like, okay, when I looked this up, I only learned about people were talking about Dre specifically. They didn't talk about anybody else. So I'm thinking the critique is there, and I get that critique. But if it's for everyone, I would like for someone to explain why they thought the negative portrayal was for everyone, of all the black women on the show. If you feel like every portrayal of black women on the show was negative, please let me know in the comments and tell me why you thought that. Because I guess if you explain, I could be like, oh, okay, I see that, or I see that. But in my mind right now, I don't see it negative to every single black woman who appeared on the series. Hopefully, doesn't start too much controversy. But here we go. The last con was the title card. I hated seeing it every time. LOL. It felt so pretentious to me. Like, just say it's based on true events, even though we know it's not. It kept being like, if you haven't seen the show, the title card is like, this is basically it was trying to say that it was a true portrayal. It is not fake. It's not a coincidence if these people or names or locations seem familiar. It's like, okay, we got it. You're trying to be edgy. Cut it out. All right. Let me get my overall opinion, y'all. I really enjoyed the series. I do wish it was a bit longer / had more episodes to really fill out the backstory for Dre and her childhood. Which, after reading about the direction Dominique was given, I can see why it wasn't fully fleshed out. Which I feel like did a huge disservice because she did a great job as this character. Which I think I talk about doing a disservice again, which I think does a disservice to people who may have been in foster care and felt let down by others around them, so they could have really related to her character and her background and where she came from. If Donald wasn't being weird. Anyway, what else was I gonna say? Oh, I enjoyed the acting so much. Everyone was good, even the people who didn't have big parts. Everybody was good to me. And overall, I feel like the series is worth a watch, and I give it a 7 out of 10. I do wish we can get a second series, or second season, technically, not series. But alas, Janine Neighbors, I hope I'm saying her name right again, says it is a limited series, and that this is the end of Dre's story, so I guess I gotta write my own fan fiction, lol. If I do, I will share it. But, so after I watched the last episode, I was like Googling stuff, and I was on Reddit on this thread, like deep in the thread, about all these theories. So there's so much I could talk about, but I have a theory of my own. It's not 100% original. I don't think it's 100% original. I feel like they mentioned this in the thread that I read. If I can find it again, I'll link it down below, because it was really interesting. There was things about people who thought maybe Dre did really kill Marissa. There was like so many theories about, of course, Dre's an unreliable narrator, of course. Because she's very mentally unstable, unfortunately. But yeah, there were so many theories, just so many. And then they talked about some of the inspiration behind certain episodes. They talked about the cults that were inspired by the cult episode. They talked about what inspired the whole series. It was an interesting thread. I would definitely read more of it. But here's my theory. Marissa is the real idol. Go with me. So I don't think this is a new theory, as I was on Reddit reading people's theories about the show. I just talked about that. I think that Dre's memory of Nyjah are so tied to Marissa that she can't separate the two. Okay? So I'm going to talk about the last episode. I already gave a spoiler alert. Like the last episode, when we see Marissa's face on Nyjah's body, it seems like Dre sees them as the same person. Like she wants to be close to and protect. And someone on Reddit said of the final scene when Nyjah is escorting Dre to her car, it seems more like how police hold suspects when they put them in cop cars. And I do see the parallels there. So basically, she's like holding her and like huddled, like with her head down, and they're holding each other, like kind of, you know how if you watch somebody getting arrested, like maybe the police will put a jacket over them or something, and like rush them out of a place or rush them out of court. That's kind of how it looks. So my theory is once Dre, as Tony, because she keeps showing her identity the whole series, got caught on stage, maybe it was finally her moment to let go of her guilt as to not being there when Marissa died by suicide. So I think she really wanted to be with the only person who ever showed her real love, and that was Marissa. That's my theory. I don't really, because I know the one guy had, I think the one guy I talked about earlier did talk about Nyjah and Marissa. So I feel like, was that the first person? God, now I gotta remember. No, the first person she killed was Khalid, the boyfriend. I've already said, spoiler alert. But I'm trying to remember, what's the guy in the second movie? The second episode, the second person she killed. Well, she didn't really kill him, but I'm not gonna spoil what happens all the way in that episode. I think you should watch the series, honestly. But I think that she like has so many memories tied with Nigel and Marissa together, like going to see Nigel and going to her concerts, and then when she went back to the house to threaten basically Marissa's parents to turn back on Marissa's phone because she wanted to see Marissa's messages again, because she misses her sister. Um, there was a shrine to Naja in Marissa's like no, 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 because Dre was in the attic, so it would have been Dre's shrine, I think. Even though I feel like when I looked up the synopsis, it said it was Marissa's, but they lived in the same house. Um, but it kind of thinks it's like, she's going back to her childhood home. Well, I guess not childhood. I guess teenage foster home where she was with Marissa, and that was like her only person who loved her, and that was her only sister. So I feel like they're like one and the same to her, honestly, especially with the last episode, which I don't know if I want to call it a dream because I kind of hate that trope. Look, it's all a dream. But I feel like she had her mental breaks, and she in episode 6 it does say she got caught jumping on stage and she got arrested at a Niger concert, which you know, um, they don't say anything of like what happened after that. If the detective was able to go talk to her, the director. I keep calling her the director. The detective was able to piece everything together, and or did Dre confess? They weren't able to like. They never said what happened after that, and I feel like that could have been its own thing. That whole episode 6, is so good. Um, and I honestly think it should have been first, and then everything else should have went after it. I feel like that would have been so cool. But yeah, have you seen Swarm? Do you want to watch it? Will you watch it now after hearing my in-depth review of it? I think that you should, and you should let me know what you think of it if you want. So yeah, I will see you all next week.